This is a CBS News special report. I'm Scott Pelley, reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York. Good day. We are on the air because the third highest officer in the federal government announced a surprise resignation today. John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, will step down at the end of next month. As Speaker, Boehner is the highest-ranking Republican in Washington and second in line of presidential succession. But he has also been in the line of fire from conservative Republicans. Nancy Cordes is our congressional correspondent, and we are waiting for Boehner's first remarks after the announcement of his resignation. Nancy's in the room where those remarks will occur. Nance?
Good day, Scott, and we see Speaker Boehner's walking up now, so I'll take my seat.
Wonderful day. I used to sing that on my way to work in the morning. Listen, my mission every day is to fight for a smaller, less costly, and more accountable government. And over the last 5 years, our majority has advanced conservative reforms that will help our children and their children. We're now on track to cut government spending by $2.1 trillion over the next 10 years. We've made the first real entitlement reform in nearly 2 decades. And we've protected 99% of the American people from an increase in our taxes. And we've done all this with a Democrat in the White House. So I'm proud of what we've accomplished. But more than anything, my first job as Speaker is to protect the institution. A lot of you know that, that my plan was to step down at the end of last year. I decided in November of 2010 that when I was elected Speaker, that serving 2 terms would have been plenty. And but in June of last year, when it became clear that the majority leader lost his election, I frankly didn't believe it was right for me to leave at the end of last year. So my goal was to leave at the end of this year. So I planned, actually on my birthday, November 17th, to announce that I was leaving at the end of the year. But it's become clear to me that this prolonged leadership turmoil would do irreparable harm to the institution. So this morning I informed my colleagues that I would resign from the speakership and resign from Congress at the end of October. Now, as you've often heard me say, this isn't about me. It's about the people. It's about the institution. Just yesterday, we witnessed the awesome sight of Pope Francis addressing the greatest legislative body in the world. And I hope that we will all heed his call to live by the golden rule. But last night I started to think about this. And this morning I woke up and I said my prayers, as I always do. And I decided, today's the day I'm going to do this. As simple as that. That's the code I've always lived by. If you do the right things for the right reasons, the right things will happen. And I know good things lie ahead for this House in this country, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished, especially proud of my team. I've been here my 25th year here, and I've succeeded in large part because I've put a staff together and a team together, many of which have been with me for a long time. And without a great staff, you can't be a great member, and you certainly can't be a great speaker. I want to thank my family for putting up with this all these years. My poor girls, who are now 37 and 35, their first campaign photo was in July of 1981. And so they've had to endure all this. It's one thing for me to have to endure it. I've got thick skin. But the girls and my wife, they've had to put up with a lot over the years. Let me express my gratitude to my constituents who've sent me here 13 times over the last 25 years. You can't get here without getting votes. And I've said this often. People ask me, what's the greatest thing about being Speaker or about being an elected official? And I said, well, it's the people you get to meet. I've met tens of thousands of people in my own congressional district that I would never have met other than the fact that I decided to run for Congress. And over the years, as I traveled on behalf of my colleagues in the party, I've met tens of thousands of additional people all over the country. And you meet rich people, you meet poor people, you meet interesting people, probably a few boring ones along the way. But I can tell you that 99.9% of the people I meet on the road, anywhere, could not be nicer than they've been. It's been wonderful. It's been an honor to serve in this institution. And with that, all right, Junior, go ahead.
Speaker Boehner, you were noticeably overcome with emotion yesterday.
Really? Oh, what a surprise.
I'm curious if you reached this decision last night, if the grace of Pope Francis led you to this decision.
No. Yesterday was a wonderful day. It really was. And was I emotional yesterday? I think I was. I was really emotional in a moment that really no one saw. As the Pope and I were getting ready to exit the building, we found ourselves alone. And the Pope grabbed my left arm and said some very kind words to me about my commitment to kids and education. And the Pope puts his arm around me and kind of pulls me to him and says, "Please pray for me." Well, who am I to pray for the Pope? But I did.
If it wasn't the Pope, then what was it?
Listen, it was never about the vote, all right? There was never any doubt about whether I could survive a vote. I don't want my members to have to go through this. I certainly don't want the institution to go through this. And so, especially when, I knew I was thinking about walking out the door anyway. So it's the right time to do it, and frankly, I am entirely comfortable doing it.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard you say before that a leader who doesn't have anybody following him is just a guy taking a walk.
That's right. I got plenty of people following me, but this turmoil that's been churning now for a couple of months is not good for the members, and it's not good for the institution. And if I wasn't planning on leaving here soon, I can tell you I would not have done this.
If I may just continue, there are people who are on the right in your caucus and even outside of this institution who have been wanting you to step down for some time, who feel that they have a victory today.
No.
Do you feel that you were pushed out?
No. The members, I'm glad I made this announcement at the conference with all of my Republican colleagues because it was a very good moment to help kind of rebuild the team. Listen, I feel good about what I've done. I know that every day, I've tried to do the right things for the right reasons and try to do the right thing for the country.
Speaker, how can this not be a moment of turmoil? You said you thought about leaving 2 years ago after Canada, but it was a time you said this would have pitched the House into turmoil. You have to keep the government open in a couple of days, debt ceiling. There's going to be one.
I'm going to be here for another. I'm going to be here for another 5 weeks, and I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to sit around here and do nothing for the next 30 days. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I plan on getting as much of it done as I can before I exit.
And as a result, though, does that make it easier in some ways to make some tougher decisions, maybe relying on Democrats to keep the government open next week or something?
I'm going to make the same decisions I would have made regardless of this.
Mr. Speaker, you've made no secret of your frustration with some members of your far-right flank and some outside groups. You've used words like knuckleheads and some other words we probably can't use on television. Had you just had enough? And how will anything be different for the next speaker?
No, let me tell you, I would not describe it as having had enough. That's not it at all. When you're the Speaker of the House, your number one responsibility is to the institution. And having a vote like this in the institution, I don't think is very healthy. And so I've done everything I can over my term as Speaker to strengthen the institution. And frankly, my move today is another step in that effort to strengthen the institution.
Won't the next speaker face the same thing?
An announcement that fair to say no one saw coming. John Boehner, who has represented the 8th District of Ohio for a quarter of a century, the last nearly 5 years as Speaker of the House, has announced his resignation. He said that he was going to resign at the end of this year anyway, but last night he said he was thinking about it and decided that today would be the day. Last night, of course, was just a few hours after a long and very emotional day for the Speaker, with Pope Francis, the first pope to visit the Congress and to address a joint meeting of the Congress. This was extremely meaningful for Boehner because Boehner is a Catholic, one of 12 children, a man who mopped floors in his father's bar to work his way through college, speaking with the Pope, who expresses humility above all else. Boehner said that he was alone with the Pope for a short while yesterday. The Pope told Boehner that he, Boehner, should pray for Pope Francis. John Dickerson is our CBS News political director and the anchor of Face the Nation. John, Boehner talked about the prolonged leadership turmoil as being the reason for his sudden resignation. What's he talking about?
Well, he's talking about the battle he's been in with conservatives over a number of different issues during his tenure, but that has come to a head again over the question of funding the government and whether that funding to keep the lights on will include continued funding for Planned Parenthood. He had a meeting last night after the Pope with a number of those conservative members, and though the Speaker said the revelation came to him overnight about when to leave, one of the conservative members, Matt Salmon of Arizona, who was in that meeting, said he felt Boehner something was different because normally in those meetings, Boehner talks to the conservatives, tries to work something out, offers them some options. Last night, he basically said, we're going to do it this way. We're going to keep the government open, and this is how we're going to go. It was a different kind of John Boehner. He wasn't rude, but he was just very precise in the way he was going to go forward, and that suggested that something was different, at least as far as this member saw it.
Well, as luck and good planning would have it, John Dickerson will have the one and only interview with Speaker Boehner this Sunday on Face the Nation. CBS News live coverage of Boehner's news conference will continue on our 24-hour digital news network, CBSN. It's available on all devices at cbsnews.com. There'll be more about all of this news day on your local CBS station, and of course, right here, we'll wrap it all up for you on the CBS Evening News. Until then, I'm Scott Pelley, CBS News in New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.